that helps put the show on. This is always a fun week, UCLA week. We've got a big weekend, USC Notre Dame women's basketball game on Saturday afternoon, and then we will see you at the Rose Bowl on Saturday night. Until then, fight on, everybody.
This has been Trojans Live, presented by Monster Energy. Unleash the beast.
And Mayama, late pitch to Marks, and he'll get the first and more. 35-30, 25 to the 20, tripped up from behind, inside the 15-yard line. And that's a big how do you do.
Tune in Monday nights at 6 p.m. on 710 ESPN and on the all-new ESPN LA app. And follow us on the ESPN LA Trojan Media Network. Trojans Live is an exclusive presentation of Play Fly Sports on 710 ESPN and the ESPN LA Trojan Media Network. Do you do? Presented by Pechanga Resort Casino.
Hi, this is Sean McVay of your LA Rams. The Rams play here. KSPN, Los Angeles.
710 ESPN.
A good karma brands radio station. 710 ESPN. The radio home of the purple and gold and the home of Lakers talk.
The Lakers went on the road for back-to-back road games and kept the winning rolling. That's now 5 wins in a row for the Lake Show.
A 2-game road trip with 2 wins. For a team that was 1-4 on the road before this trip, they'll certainly take it.
Well, it's good to know that you can execute down the stretch. You can make plays down the stretch no matter what the game calls for. And tonight was another one of those moments where last night we had to do it and tonight we had to do it as well.
It's a new edition of Lakers Talk with Andy Kamenetzky.
The Lakers are back at home tomorrow night for the first of 3 home games as AD and the purple and gold look to make it 6 straight wins.
So we just stay with it, stay together, ultimately, execute it down the stretch and able to get the win.
Lakers Talk is presented by Hoag Orthopedic Institute. When pain keeps you from doing what you love, Hoag Orthopedic Institute gets you back to you. Visit HoagOrthopedicInstitute.com to get the help you need today.
Lakers Talk is on. Here's Andy Kamenetzky.
What is up, Laker fans? Andy Kamenetzky. This is Lakers Talk, ESPN LA on our normal time, our normal night. Love being here where we are slated to be, dare I say, where we are supposed to be. Funchy is, of course, with me right now. We are, I believe, on YouTube. If so, hello, everybody. I'm waving. Yes, just got the thumbs up that we are, in fact, on YouTube. So all things going as scheduled. Very exciting times for the Lakers right now. They are 9-4. They are on a 5-game winning streak, and they are going to be back in L.A. Well, they are back in L.A. I was actually at practice today, and some interesting stuff came up at practice that we will talk about over the next 2 hours. But they are going to be playing in L.A. tomorrow, hosting the Jazz. Game number 2 of the NBA Cup, formerly the in-season tournament, otherwise known as the setup where the Lakers never lose. They are undefeated historically in Cup play. They are the greatest damn team in the history of the Cup. So that is tomorrow night. Pregame coverage begins with Beto Duran at 6 o'clock, followed by the tip at 7:30, and then again postgame with Beto Duran. Got some awesome guests tonight at 7:30. Rob Mahoney from The Ringer is going to join. He wrote a really cool piece about Anthony Davis. I'll tweet it out. Blue Sky it. Also on Blue Sky as well. Same name, Cam Brothers, as well as Twitter. I'll put that out to you guys. But I thought it was a really interesting look at AD and the season that he's having right now. So I want to talk with Rob Mahoney at 7:30, then at 8:15. Mike Trudell, you all know him, sideline reporter for the Lakers Spectrum Sportsnet team. He is at all the games, home and road. He's also occasionally now dropping by 710 more often, which is really exciting for us. But I want to get his take on not just what he's seen on the court for the Lakers over these first 13 games, but also just the mood of this team in the new J.J. Redick era. So I want to get his perspective. Like I said, I was at practice today in El Segundo. There were some interesting conversations about D'Angelo Russell's acceptance of moving to the bench, what's worked for him, why he's doing it, how he feels about it. J.J. Redick talked about it. D'Angelo Russell himself talked about it. Got some sound from that. I actually asked D'Lo a question about it and Redick a question about it. Both of them gave me some very interesting, unexpected responses that both feel very J.J. Redick and very D'Angelo Russell. So going to get into that. Also, Dalton Knecht, everybody's favorite rookie, who blew up for 27 points and 7 boards in Saturday's win over the Pelicans in the Big Easy. He was really the spark that ignited the Lakers, frankly, just to wake up, like wake the hell up, start playing better, start playing harder, like give a crap about this game, playing against just a decimated Pelicans unit. He helped really bring home that win that the Lakers just, you cannot look to make noise in the West and lose games like that. I mean, those are the type of games that you look back on and just stew for days and weeks if, say, you end up in the play-in, or let's just say you miss the play-in altogether. Those are the type of games that you look back on and go, what the F, man? Like, seriously, what were we thinking? So they secured that win. There's a lot of questions about whether Dalton Knecht should stay in the starting lineup when Rui Hachimura and or Cam Reddish return. Speaking of which, we're going to get into that also as a topic, but speaking of which, Cam Reddish actually practiced today, albeit in a practice with no live scrimmaging, anything like that. I saw him shooting afterwards. His status for tomorrow against Utah was not clarified. Rui Hachimura, however, did not practice. J.J. Redick said that he is progressing. They are hopeful that he will be back sometime this week, but for the time being, he is listed as questionable for tomorrow's game. The tone that I sensed was they would be surprised if he ends up playing, but fingers crossed. You never know. Either way, again, the Lakers are riding this 5-game winning streak, 9-4. They're tied for, at least last I looked at the standings, 3rd or 4th in the West, depending on how you view this tie. They have the opportunity tomorrow to make it 10-4, and it raises the question, Funchy, I'll get you to weigh in on this a sec too, but it raises the question of whether or not the Lakers are as good as their record. And I bring this up, and this is something, by the way, we talked about on today's Locked On Lakers podcast, available 5 days a week everywhere you get your podcast, Monday through Friday, always free, never behind a paywall. And for the sickos who like to watch, there is a YouTube component. We talked about this today.
6 minutes and 30 seconds in.
I know. I what was I thinking waiting this long?
Too long.
I mean, that's just straight slipping, dude. Like, that is me not taking my shameless promotional opportunities.
You get you Don King or something.
Yeah, I mean, like Don King would absolutely take the opportunity to promote his other work.
Only in America, Kamenetzky.
Yeah, I mean, would Don King immediately jump at the chance to promote one thing while getting paid by a completely different outlet? The answer is damn straight he would.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and I don't know why I waited.
Living off of it.
I don't know why I waited so long. But we talked about how I get a sense, whether you're talking local media that covers the team or national NBA media, there is some degree of skepticism about whether the Lakers are actually this good. And I think that is in part because I think a lot of people want to avoid the appearance of buying into the Lakers too much because they feel like the Lakers are too hyped as it is. If you buy into Laker hype, you're just feeding the machine. We see this a lot, you know, respectfully to the folks over at like the Hoop Collective, who it's incredible podcast, Brian Windhorst and the guys. I listen to it regularly. I consider it essential listening. But, you know, Zach Lowe, when he was with ESPN, shout out to Zach, hopefully back wherever, whatever format. I want to hear Zach again. But there would be some degree of complaining about having to talk about the Lakers, pretending they didn't want to talk about the Lakers, when the reality is, of course you do, because the Lakers are engagement. Everybody knows they're engagement.
You know, so funny. We got a call from postgame the other night, but with a guy saying like the Lakers don't get talked enough.
Okay, slow down.
Seriously, seriously,
slow down. Like they get talked about plenty. But
we were trying to tell him that, but he just doesn't think that they get talked about enough.
Well, okay. Here's where I would maybe agree that they don't get talked about enough, and this is what I'm getting at. The idea of them being a serious contender, like that they're actually this good of a team, because I think the general consensus was they are a decent, maybe solid, but no better than that team that is incredibly vulnerable to injuries to LeBron or AD. And if those two guys are not around, there's really not much behind them. Most people saw them as somewhere between an 8 to 10 seed. I personally saw them as potentially somewhere between 4 to 6. Obviously, things need to go right, but that's the case for every team. But if you're asking me right now if I feel like this 9-4 start is for real, my answer is yes. Because nothing about it seems fluky in the way that it's happened. Like this version of Anthony Davis, and this is something I'm going to talk about in about 20 minutes with Rob Mahoney from The Ringer. This version of AD to me feels like an extension of what we saw last year, an extension of how AD played in the Olympics, just featured more, which is something I wanted the Lakers. I've been screaming about the Lakers doing this for the past couple of years anyway. So to me, this is not just believable for AD. This is what he should have been doing the last couple of years. They finally just really committed to the idea of AD. LeBron is LeBron. Obviously, there is the question of ability to hold up. Season 22, 40 years old, yada, yada, yada. And over 82 games, you're going to see the age at times show. But LeBron is still capable of doing great things, and that is not fluky. Austin Reeves. I don't know if Austin Reeves can rise to the level of true third best player on a legit championship team, but Austin Reeves is clearly a good player. Like, the idea of Austin Reeves playing well is not fluky. I think D'Angelo Russell, and we're going to talk about D'Lo over the course of the next hour and 45 minutes. I think D'Lo in this new role off the bench fits him very well. I think it suits the team very well. You know, Rui Hachimura, when he's available, has shown last year his three-point shooting. That's a real thing. Dalton Knecht, I thought looked like a pro in the making in the summer league, in the preseason, based on the people that I talked to who covered him at Tennessee. So Knecht, while I don't know if he's going to go on averaging like 20 a game like he has over the last couple with the Lakers, I think Dalton Knecht is a legit NBA scorer and shooter. And yes, they have vulnerabilities. Like, the defense needs to be figured out. They are not good enough defensively right now to be a legit contender, like a team that you would be considered a front runner. But you don't have to consider them a front runner to consider 9-4 to be legit. So again, I think there is nothing fluky about this team at 9-4. There is nothing that they have been doing that makes me feel like they can't build on this. Like, this is not sustainable moving forward. It's not. There's going to be bumps because there always are. There's going to be lulls because there always are. There are vulnerabilities to this team. But if you're asking me if this feels real, the answer is yes, because I've seen nothing over these 13 games that feels completely out of character for this team, good and bad. The good and the bad all feels basically like what I expected. Dalton Knecht, though, is certainly taking a lot of Lakers fans, NBA media, NBA fans by surprise, and they are loving it. They are excited. Dalton Knecht was a topic at practice today. We're going to get into that coming up next. Lakers Talk. Also take your calls, by the way, 877-710-ESPN. If you are on hold right now, wait. I will get to you next. Lakers Talk, Andy Kamenetzky, 710 ESPN.
Just like the Lakers have a game plan on the court, you should have a Go Safely game plan off the court. If you plan to drink, plan for a designated sober driver. If you're the designated sober driver, move over a lane when you see amber flashing lights on Caltrans, law enforcement, or other emergency vehicles or tow trucks. If you can't move over safely, slow down and be work zone alert. Go Safely, California, from the California Office of Traffic Safety and Caltrans.
Hey, Hey, it's Sedano. LA is the home of champions, so celebrate like a champion with Tequila Mandala. Award-winning artisanal small batch premium sipping tequila. Our friends at Tequila Mandala turning tequila fans into Tequila Mandala fanatics. Made from the finest mature agaves to bring you the perfect sipping tequila, from their blanco to their flawless year extra añejo. Up your game with Tequila Mandala and experience the best award-winning premium tequila. Available everywhere fine tequilas are sold. Visit tequilamandala.com for more details.
Park, party, and play at Hollywood Park Casino. Join Travis Rogers and Kirk Morrison Sunday, November 24th for their live Rams postgame show from Ray's Lounge at Hollywood Park Casino. Win prizes and party with Travis, Kirk, and ESPN LA fans. Hollywood Park Casino is Los Angeles' premier card room casino and entertainment destination. Enjoy a postgame meal and drink at Ray's Lounge right after the game. Park, party, and play at Hollywood Park Casino. Elevate your game. Must be 21 and older.
Is your vehicle due for service? Is it time to get those wipers replaced? If so, head into your neighborhood Valvoline Instant Oil Change, home of the 15-minute drive-through oil change. For over 30 years, Valvoline has provided quick and convenient automotive maintenance services for busy people just like you. At Valvoline, you stay in your car safe while the expert technicians make sure your ride is at its best. Oil changes, wiper blades, and more. Just pull up, drive in, and drive out in about 15 minutes. Visit SoCalOilChange.com for locations and game-winning coupons off of your next Valvoline Instant Oil Change.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hi, I'm Dr. Peter Stahl, board-certified urologist and senior vice president of men's sexual health at HIMSS. In my 12 years of practice as a reproductive urologist, I've helped many guys with ED, and it has never been more convenient to treat than it is right now, thanks to HIMSS. It really wasn't easy before. You had to take time out of your day, come to a physical office, and see a specialist like me in person. Now, through HIMSS.com, you can get world-class sexual health care and a full range of treatment options for ED through a 100% online process. It starts with a free assessment from a medical provider licensed in your state who can determine if ED treatment is right for you. If prescribed, your medication is shipped to you for free. So don't wait. Join the hundreds of thousands of guys who've gotten help for their ED through HIMSS.
To start your free online visit and find ED treatment at up to 95% off brand name prices, go to hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy for your free online visit.
All the latest surrounding the Lake Show, right here on Lakers Talk with Andy Kamenetzky.
Pelicans put up a tough fight last night, but LeBron and the Lakers were not going to be denied down the stretch.
But to be honest, it wasn't his best performance going into crunch time, and unsurprisingly, he delivered.
Three-pointer by LeBron. Good! And that should ice it for the Lakers with 37 seconds remaining in the fourth.
Just living in the moment, being able to still make plays and make big shots at this point in my career. That's what you live for. You never be able to get those moments back when you're done.
Lakers Talk is presented by Hoag Orthopedic Institute. When pain keeps you from doing what you love, Hoag Orthopedic Institute gets you back to you. Visit HoagOrthopedicInstitute.com to get the help you need today.
Now back to Lakers Talk with Andy Kamenetzky.
So this is the California Love and Sample.
Yes. Wow. There you go. Digging in the crates. Who do you think
Love
this
it.
is, though?
I used to know who this is. I don't know. Who is it?
Joe Cocker.
Yes. I did know that.
We're digging in the crates, baby.
Love it. Dig as deep into that. You know you always have my permission and my blessing, Funchy, to do that. Lakers Talk, Andy Kamenetzky, ESPN LA 710. We're going to be joined in about 15 minutes by Rob Mahoney from The Ringer to talk about his really good piece that he wrote about Anthony Davis and the way AD is being used this season, the role of Anthony Davis. He talked about AD in, I think, some really interesting ways, so I want to get into that with him. Want to talk a little bit about what was said about Dalton Knecht at practice today. But real quick, let's talk first with Robbie, East Long Beach. You're on Lakers Talk. What's up, Robbie?
How's it going, Andy? First of all, great start for our Lakers, 9-4 with J.J. Redick at the helm. Here's my offer. If any latest updates about maybe Jackson Hayes or Jared Vanderbilt?
Unfortunately, Robbie,
Along the way, and also, is it possibility that if we have Jackson Hayes back, maybe by the Phoenix game, and maybe 50-50 against the Denver Nuggets, maybe then I could take our chances at beating the Denver Nuggets? And number 3, do you think we have to deal with KD coming up within the next week possibility? What's your take on that?
Okay, Robbie, I got to get to it all before I forget it all. So thank you very much. I appreciate the call.
Have a great night. And
you too, Robbie. As far as Jackson Hayes, there was no update offered today. He was originally about a week or two estimation. I would be surprised if Hayes was back this week. I'm willing to be pleasantly surprised, but I would find it pretty surprising. Side note, it has been an incredible – it's kind of fallen under the radar, I think, but it's been great that the Lakers have been able to play Christian Koloko without getting killed. I mean, in all honesty, like in the 5 games that Christian Koloko has played, they are -1 overall in plus-minus. You can absolutely live with that. I thought he played – I understand against the Pelicans, you're talking second, third-string competition, but, you know, Christian Koloko also, it's the first time he's played in like 18 months. He had been away. Like, I actually think Koloko has looked reasonably good, and at minimum, he is somebody that they've been able to put out there without worrying about him. Like, he's not hurting them when he's out there. I think he is occasionally helping, but it's kind of like with a doctor, first do no harm. Koloko's not harming him, and that's really big. I don't think Vanderbilt's going to be back anytime soon. I mean, we haven't even gotten anything remotely along the lines of a timeline. So unless they're really keeping this close to the vest, Vando is unfortunately not close. KD, his availability against Phoenix, I have not seen the latest updates, but the last time I saw his timeline, it seemed like it would be within the realm of possibilities, but it just depends on how he reacts.
Have they said, like, what the problem is?
I want to say it was hamstring. This is off the top of my head. I don't remember. I don't have it in front of me. I think it was a hamstring, but I'm not 100% sure. But I just remember the timeline for Durant made it. It was either hamstring or calf.
It's like 2 weeks, right?
Yeah, it was something
1 to 2
like
weeks.
that. I think it was more like 2 reevaluate.
Yeah,
like 2-week reevaluation.
It's like a guy his age, though, he has to take care of that hamstring, though. He can't just come back like a 20-year-old.
Exactly. So we shall see. I don't know. I think it is possible. I don't know if it is probable, much less definitive. Again,
they're rolling too.
Although they, unlike the Lakers, have a minus point differential. The Lakers are in the positive right now.
Okay.
Phoenix in the minus. So there you have it. Real quick bit of housekeeping before we get to Dalton Knecht and what was said about him at practice. We can get more into this as the show goes along, but if you were not aware, the Lakers announced today that there will be a statue at the Crypt, exact date TBD, of Pat Riley. He is going to be joining the statues, literally, of Kobe, Shaq, Kareem, Magic, Chick, Jerry West, Elgin Baylor. It is like a true museum out there in front of the Crypt, and Pat Riley is going to be joining. We'll talk a little bit more about that later in the show, but wanted to get to Dalton Knecht because he has been on a heater of late. As a starter, he is averaging about 15 points a game, 49% from the field, about 38% from behind the arc, 5 rebounds roughly, and a steal. He was talked about.
Name, Stone.
Love it. True story for those unaware. Dalton Knecht was named for Patrick Swayze's character Dalton in Roadhouse. Like, I'm not BSing you. This is actually the truth. I will never not delight in this. Like, this.
Be nice.
This will never not make me happy knowing this. I find it so incredibly delightful. But
pain don't hurt.
Pain, especially when you're watching him play right now.
Yep.
There is no pain watching Dalton Knecht. JJ Redick talked about the way Dalton has been playing today at practice.
I don't think any of us have to tell him to shoot the ball. he's unflappable in that. He has a real high level of confidence in his shooting and scoring ability. And in some ways, he's like a goldfish. He really is. And I think we'll just kind of move on. He could be 1 for 8, and he has confidence that the next shot's going in, which every great shooter does. And we have that same level of confidence as well. But for AD, Bron, our guys, they all trust him. Certainly the coaching staff.
I also asked Austin Reeves at practice whether he saw some similarities or kinship between him and Dalton Knecht, given that they were both very unrecruited out of high school. There were a lot of people doubting them as, frankly, high-end college prospects, much less guys who would carve out legit careers in the NBA.
A bit of yourself in him, just guys who weren't heavily recruited out of high school, had to prove yourself at larger universities, stuff like that.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of similarities. I wish I was as athletic as him. But no, I mean, I think the stories are similar. I went JUCO and then was at another college for 2 or 3 years and transferred. So it's like, it's all the same stuff that I went through. I think a lot of people didn't think that we were good enough. I think just a lot of these, recruits at colleges didn't think we were, my personal experience, I was athletic enough to, play at that level, and then levels beyond that. And then I don't know what it was with him, but it had to be something because, when I watch a game and I see him play, like, it's like, oh, that's a pro. Like, I could tell the first time I watched him. So I don't know what the problem was, but yeah, I think there's a lot of similarities.
And along the lines of what I was talking about earlier with the Lakers, whether or not the 9-4 start feels real, does what is going on with Dalton Knecht feel real? And the answer to me is hell yes. I mean, Funchy, the last couple of weeks I had wanted J.J. Redick to play Knecht more minutes, even before this recent explosion, just because they needed, the bench needed more scoring, and Dalton Knecht was at the time.
And also the shooting, too.
Right, the scoring, the shooting, all of that. And before D'Lo moved to the bench, like, Dalton Knecht was the only guy on the team who represented any type of legit threat off the bench, like any type of real scoring. But also, too, I was just like, he needs the reps. Like, he needs to build more comfort. He needs to be out there more, like, start figuring out how to get to his spots, all those different things. But, like, you could see that he looked the part. Like, I thought in Summer League, I thought in the preseason. I talked to, I forget his name, but the guy who does Locked On Vols for the Locked On Podcast Network, and he obviously covered Dalton Knecht. And I asked him about whether or not he thought this was transferable to the NBA. He's like, oh, yeah. And it's important to remember, Dalton Knecht began as a JUCO player. Then he went to the esteemed Northern Colorado to play basketball. Then he went
Powerhouse there.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, and then he went to Tennessee. So it's like he kept getting better each level, even with a higher level of challenge. He kept getting better.
And it's always funny how these guys always slipped in the draft every year.
Yeah, well, it's because, he's a quote-unquote old rookie at 23, so people assume that he's, like, fully formed. But to me, what was overlooked, and I at the time, I hope this was the case, I'm like, is nobody noticing that he's improving? Like, that he keeps getting significantly better as the competition gets harder. Like, does that not mean anything to anyone just because, I realize he's ancient at 23, but, like, is nobody noticing that he's, taking stock or care that he keeps getting better? So, maybe this is something that GMs think about a little bit more before, they just dismiss guys because they played in college too long and they just assume this is who they are. Before we get to Rob Mahoney, coming up next from The Ringer, going to talk to Eugene in L.A. You're on Lakers Talk. What's up, Eugene?
Hey, what's up, Kamenetzky? How are you doing?
Good, man.
Yeah, just wanted to talk to you about the Lakers really quick. Just picking up on Dalton Knecht, I really think that he has a legit shot of winning the Rookie of the Year award. only because, like you said, he's more seasoned as a lot of these rookies aren't. And just being on the floor with Bron and AD, he's going to get more open shots and more open looks. And then also, too, I know you haven't gotten into it yet, but I really don't know how this saga between J.J. Redick and D'Angelo Russell is going to work out. Just by looking at the body language of Russell, how he played against the Pelicans and the Spurs, I don't see how long he will last. But at the same time, who's going to want to take that on? But that's all I got to say for now. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Eugene. And definitely be listening in the next hour. I'm going to get into the questions I had for J.J. Redick and others had for J.J. Redick about D'Lo's role. I had an interesting exchange with D'Lo about it that I thought was revealing, but not necessarily in a bad way, even though I think there will be people who are going to be inclined to interpret it as bad. I don't think it was. I'll explain why coming up next. But in the meantime, truly coming up next, Rob Mahoney from The Ringer, awesome piece about Anthony Davis. It's up right now. I will tweet it out, blue sky it out, whatever they call that, very soon. I think it's a really, really good look at AD, and I want to talk with him about it more. This is Andy Kamenetzky. This is Lakers Talk. This is ESPN LA 710.
Hey guys, it's Cappy. You've heard me talk about my personal situation with my divorce and subsequent custody battle in the past, and I know that you need a team behind you to get the justice you deserve. My friend Mark Reel and his team at Real Fathers Rights are here to help you guys. Visit realfathersrights.com/710. That's REEL, realfathersrights.com/710, or call 323-870-1611. That's 323-870-1611. Real Fathers Rights, the Father's Rights Attorneys.
NextGen is the official plumbing, heating, and AC company of SoCal sports fans. That's right. NextGen is the absolute best in the biz with thousands of five-star reviews online to prove it. Looking for an all-star deal on home comfort? Call NextGen. For just $14.99 a month, you'll score year-round coverage on all of your plumbing, heating, and AC needs. You heard it right. For just $14.99 a month, you'll experience coverage and comfort all season long. No unexpected timeouts, just total peace of mind. As a NextGen member, you'll enjoy complimentary multi-point inspections, cooling tune-ups, plumbing and safety inspections, and exclusive members-only savings. Plus, you'll have a VIP guaranteed 2-hour priority service appointment. Sign up today to become a NextGen VIP. Don't miss out. Call 833-3NEXTGEN. NextGen is the only name you need to remember for comfort and reliability all season long. That's 833-3NEXTGEN, or visit nextgenaironplumbing.com.
NEXGEN, call 833-3NEXTGEN. Gear up and get out to Kelsey's at Pachanga, the top spot in the Temecula Valley to watch all the Monday Night Football action. Dozens of TVs means all your favorite games, plus a M&F food menu fit for the greatest fans. Sliders, loaded tater tots, pulled pork pizza, and a lot more. Plus, you'll find beers on tap and incredible craft cocktails at Kelsey's. Visit Pachanga.com and follow at Pachanga Casino on Instagram for info about special and exclusive NFL team appearances. We'll see you at Kelsey's at Pachanga.
Are you ready to unleash the beast? Monster Energy is here to give you the edge this college tailgate season. Loaded with bold flavors, our powerful blend gives you the energy you need to push you beyond your limits. Tune in all season long with Monster, the energy drink of ESPN Radio College Football Tour. Power your performance with a drink that's as hungry for victory as you are. Crack open an ice-cold Monster and dominate your competition. Monster Energy. Unleash the beast. Grab yours today.
Martha was ready to switch to a career in IT.
There's always a need for IT specialists, especially with AI coming out and cybersecurity. It's practically recession-proof.
My Computer Career even provides job placement help.
The career specialists, they're very helpful. They care about you as a person. You're not just a number to them. I would recommend My Computer Career wholeheartedly to anyone.
Take the free career evaluation today. Become an IT pro in just months with zero experience at mycomputercareer.edu.
This is Lakers Talk with Andy Kamenetzky on 710 ESPN.
LeBron hit the dagger. AD put up 31 points. And Dalton Knecht was on fire.
Here's Austin Reeves. Kick it to Knecht. Three-pointer by Dalton. Good again. Knecht is now, I think, Michael, the best shooter on the Lakers.
His shooting's infectious. He can get him off versus anybody. He's 6'8", 6'9", so, and he got a hair trigger, so it doesn't take long for him to get him up, and sneaky athletic as well.
It's the home of the Lake Show and the home of Lakers Talk.
Lakers Talk is presented by Hoag Orthopedic Institute. When pain keeps you from doing what you love, Hoag Orthopedic Institute gets you back to you. Visit HoagOrthopedicInstitute.com to get the help you need today.
Back to Andy Kamenetzky.
It's another one. I know who the original is. This is the Far Side Pass Me By sample.
This passed away.
I know. Tell me.
Quincy Jones.
Right. It's Quincy. There we go. Andy Kamenetzky, Lakers Talk, ESPN LA 710. Reminder, the Lakers are back in LA. They are hosting the Jazz tomorrow at the Crypt. Pre-game coverage will begin right here at 6 o'clock with Beto Duran, followed by the tip at 7:30, then post-game. Very excited for my first guest. I've not talked to him in a very long time, so stoked to have him on. Rob Mahoney from The Ringer. You can follow him on Twitter and Blue Sky at Rob Mahoney. He's been doing great NBA coverage for years. Recently wrote a very good piece on Anthony Davis and the season that he's been having for the Lakers and why. So, Rob, how are you, man?
I'm doing great. Thanks so much for having me.
Absolutely. First, the title of this piece, which jumped out at me in and of itself. Anthony Davis's unicorn era may be over, but the Lakers' AD era is finally here. Explain what you mean by that framing, particularly the unicorn piece of it.
Yeah, I think AD has always been one of these stars whom people on the teams that he's played for, around the teams that he's played for, around the league have been waiting to make a jump in line with some of the other unicorn bigs around the NBA, guys like Giannis Antetokounmpo, or even stretchier bigs like maybe a Karl Anthony Towns or a Nikola Jokic, someone like that, to flash this like position-defying type of skill set. And AD has always had some of those elements in his game, but to me, he's never needed to be that guy. And I think there's a version of Anthony Davis that has mostly been in play for the Lakers this season, give or take some recent three-point shooting, that can just be a dominant big. They can just be an amazing finisher around the basket. They can be a really focused and controlled player and be dominant on those terms. And I think he's kind of finding himself in that mold more and more this season.
Do you think we as like the NBA media at large put too much focus on the unicorn thing, period? Like not even specifically with AD, but just like the idea of finding the most unique player sometimes and like valuing that as opposed to just accepting and embracing the high-end version of whatever someone is?
100%. Like I'm sure you feel a version of this too, but covering this stuff on a daily basis, we can be very easily swayed by what is interesting, like as opposed to what is good. And it's like, oh, this is a thing I haven't seen before. This is a new trend in the league. This is a direction of the game that is really fascinating. And we kind of chase those sorts of stories and those sorts of developmental arcs. And those things are great. But you don't have to reinvent the wheel every single season. Sometimes you can just roll in and be a very good traditional point guard and make your team dramatically better. Sometimes you could just come in and be a by-the-book shooting guard or a by-the-book big and transform a team because they need that exact thing. And so I think we are absolutely guilty of that. Like we want to see things that are experimental and exciting. But sometimes teams like the Lakers in particular, like they have a guy who's experimental and exciting in LeBron James. They have a position-breaking player already. Maybe just get a really, really good version of a traditional Anthony Davis, and you can go a long way with that.
Talking with Rob Mahoney from The Ringer. He's got a really good piece out right now about Anthony Davis. Follow him on Twitter. Follow him on Blue Sky, at Rob Mahoney. It's a paragraph from the piece. Quote, "We can and should marvel at what sets a unicorn apart, but sometimes it's really all about the horsepower. Davis isn't just big and strong, but fast. He will beat an opposing big to the spot, and once he does, they don't have much hope of stopping his all-out assault in the paint or overcommitting and sending him to the line." And I found this paragraph, Rob, really compelling because I think it belies the biggest criticism of AD over the years, which is that he's not physical enough or strong enough. And I've just never bought that because I know he can sometimes struggle against some of the biggest, most physical guys like the Jokic's, the Sabonis's, maybe even a Zubats of the world. But like a lot of players in general struggle against those bigger and stronger than them. But like, the idea that he's not physical or strong in the first place, that like he shies away from it, he spends too much time in the paint, he rebounds too much, and I like the way you frame the speed, like, which I think for some people could be code for finesse, as like the ultimate edge. Like it takes the physicality and, you know, that strength that's already there and takes it to another level, which I guess is a long-winded way of me asking, has AD been beaten up too long for being soft?
I think probably so. I do think there's been a journey there, though. I think a lot of guys come into the league this way, where if you do have those sorts of athletic gifts, where you are a quick twitch player who can beat guys to spots, who can get around people, whether you're a guard or a big or a wing or wherever you kind of fall on the positional spectrum, there's an inclination for those sorts of guys to evade contact. Like, because they can get around you, because they can get by you. Earlier in their careers, a lot of guys start out that way, and I think AD started that way in some respects, more in the Pelicans part of his career, or I guess then Hornets part of his career than the Lakers part. And the transformation has been embracing that contact, using the speed he has to not just get by people, but to get the bump and draw fouls, and to embrace that kind of that part of the game, and how he can have such an advantage in that way. Like there is a physicality in speed. And frankly, you don't need to be a back-to-the-basket player to be physical. You can be a face-up big and be incredibly physical. And he's walked that line really beautifully. And a lot of it, to me, comes down to, are you able to finish through contact? And he's so good kind of in that floater range on the sorts of off-balance attempts in the lane. That's a type of physical play, too. It may not look as physical as, say, a more dominant traditional big in 1995. But this is how physicality manifests in the modern NBA. If you can move that well and play through people, you can be really, really effective.
Talking with Rob Mahoney, covers all things NBA. For The Ringer, has a really good piece out now about Anthony Davis. There's a really good line in the piece, too, where you say, quote, Davis has always been talented and often injured, sometimes flighty. Now he's simply essential. And it's, by the way, the idea of AD being essential is something that I've been screaming about for the Lakers the last couple of years, like wanting him to be treated as the best, most important, most impactful player on the Lakers, which is now the reality. What do you think made the Lakers ultimately embrace that?
I think some of it has obviously been the coaching change and getting J.J. Redick, and by extension getting the team in a position where they are by default looking for AD more consistently, changes everything about kind of what his role is within the team and how you contextualize all of that. It's just really hard to be a big in today's NBA if your team isn't going to look like for you at every critical opportunity to get the ball. And granted, there are going to be times, especially late in games, where the ball goes through LeBron, the ball goes through Austin Reeves in the pick and roll, the ball finds kind of a natural course of events that doesn't include Anthony Davis, and all that's okay. I'm almost more concerned with, like, over the second and third quarter, will he have those 6 to 8 minute stretches where he's on the floor but sort of phased out in the way that you've seen with previous iterations of the team? That's like a team mentality thing that starts in training camp, that starts in that, like, it's continued in film sessions, that has to be hammered and hammered and hammered into a group to get everyone on the same page with it. I would say, especially with a team like the Lakers that have, let's say, less than traditional point guard play in a lot of ways. Like, you need a team-wide ethic to get Anthony Davis the damn ball. And once you do that, I think you see that it can dramatically change everything about how you play offense. And, of course, how critical he can be to the structure of that offense at a time when LeBron, because of the realities of where he is in his career, needs to be a facilitator on some nights, needs to be kind of taking his foot off the gas in the sense of, like, creating contact and having to manufacture every possession. You want someone like Anthony Davis, who is capable of carrying so much, to carry a little bit more.
Yeah, and you talk, Robin, talking with Rob Mahoney from The Ringer, wrote a really good piece about Anthony Davis. You describe in this piece that AD's play now is, among other things, more intentional. And I think that's a really good observation, and it ties into what you were talking about, this edict of getting AD the ball more. And J.J. Redick has really spelled out the idea of everything is now tailored around Anthony Davis. You will get him the ball on every possession. He's a focal point. And I think that's critical because beyond you can maybe get the best version of Lakers this way, Anthony Davis is not somebody who is going to color outside the lines to get his. You know what I mean? Like, he's a rule follower. Like, he is a soldier. He doesn't take bad shots or just, like, shots outside the system. So it's like if if you want this version of Anthony Davis, you have to formally create it, formally state it, and make sure everyone knows it. And that's why I think it was important for Redick to be explicit, because otherwise, like, AD was not going to, for better or for worse, like, demand this for himself on the court.
Yeah, and if you want to blame a player for operating that way, and I think, there's certainly a contingent of the media and there are fans who feel that way about any star in the league, right? If you're not going for the ball, if you're not demanding the ball, then it is indicative of like a flaw in your design as a star. I can't say I completely get there. I think it's important that as a star you make yourself available, right? Like if you're a big fighting for post position, getting to your spots, establishing yourself in position, but all of that is contingent, as you mentioned, on the idea of making him a priority in the first place and of the team understanding that they need to be getting him the ball. And I think when you have a player like AD who maybe is more of a team operator in that sense, where he wants to play however the team wants to play, the idea of on a psychological level, telling a player like that, not only are you a priority, your spots are a priority for us. Where you operate on the floor is where we want to go. That's how we want to dictate the flow of what we're trying to accomplish. I think that's a really profound thing to tell a player, especially a player who has been on teams that just like did not have the playmaking to get him the ball in optimal positions at various points, that did not always make him a priority, even when he was clearly the best player on the roster. And I think during his Lakers career, he's been essential for a long time, but he's almost been more essential defensively than offensively just because of the ways that they've played. And this is kind of the season where everything has become one, where he's clearly the only thing bailing out them, like specifically the perimeter defenders in a lot of these matchups and a lot of these games. But also offensively, like he's the only thing close to like a real one-man structure that they have on offense. And that is a really critical thing for them to have at this point in time.
Talking with Rob Mahoney from The Ringer, wrote a really good piece about Anthony Davis. You can check out. I will tweet it out. I will Blue Sky it out. You can follow him on Twitter and Blue Sky at Rob Mahoney. How sustainable do you think this version of Anthony Davis is for the season?
I think it should be quite sustainable based on approach, right? The things that the Lakers are running, the mechanisms of their offense, the points of emphasis, all that stuff is pretty sustainable. Now, it waxes and wanes over 82 games, as these things often do with any NBA team. The variable with AD is always going to be health. And especially with this kind of thing, this is a huge workload that he's carrying on both sides of the ball. And with AD in particular, because he's a physical player, because he's in the mix so often, he's picked up a lot of random injuries that, like, getting poked in the eye in a way that forces him to leave a game and maybe, like it puts him in doubt for a potential future game. That sort of thing comes with the territory being heavily involved so often. And I think what I worry about with the Lakers is, like we know who they are when AD and LeBron are on the floor. We know who they are when those guys are at least in the lineup and can help carry stretches in minutes. If he goes down for any significant period of time, I just think they lose their bearings and their mooring really, really quickly. And so from his standpoint, like how he plays, I think it should be perfectly sustainable. Can we ever count on Anthony Davis to play a full complement of games in the season? I think history tells us you have to be pretty careful with that.
And the last question I have for you is along these lines: how sustainable or real do you think these 9-4 Lakers are? 5-game winning streak right now.
I think the offense is pretty good, and I think it's going to be pretty good. Like the kind of fundamentals in terms of the big picture indicators you look at with teams to see like what is sustainable and what might be fluky, everything points to them being a really sustainable offensive team. They're a little shallower than I would like, and I think in particular the kind of depth that they have, there's a few too many like coin flip guys for my taste, where like I know D'Lo has been playing relatively well lately within this new role coming off the bench. He's a player you never quite know what you're going to get. And even things like, Dalton Knecht goes off for a huge game. It's hard to count on a rookie to be present and active and effective every time he steps on the floor. And so there are a lot of spots in the rotation where it's just kind of going to be an either or night for those guys. And that's where you start to worry about what AD and LeBron and Austin Reeves in particular, I think, have to carry with this group. It may make them like a little bit more shaky, but overall, this has the bones of being a really good Western Conference team.
He is Rob Mahoney. He covers all things NBA for The Ringer. Follow him on Twitter and Blue Sky at Rob Mahoney. He also, by the way, and this is the thing that truly makes me jealous, can sometimes be heard on the Big Picture podcast, which is one of my absolute favorites. And every time like you and Van Lathan and some of the other guys brought in from the outside of the ringer, I'm like, damn, that sounds fun. That sounds so much fun. And that's good stuff too, by the way.
I appreciate that. Yeah, it's you're really blessed when the main 9-to-5 job is covering professional sports, and the fun recess part of your job is like, oh, let me go talk about movies from this podcast for a while.
Yeah, there are worse ways to make a buck. Rob Mahoney from The Ringer. Really appreciate the time, man. Great catching up.
Hey, thanks so much.
And again, Rob Mahoney, check out his piece on Anthony Davis on The Ringer right now. It's a really, really good breakdown of what is working for AD right now and why. Coming up, going to get a little bit more into Anthony Davis, 877-710-ESPN if you want to weigh in. This is Lakers Talk, Andy Kamenetzky, ESPN LA.
John Ireland here. Let's talk about your smile. Meet Dr. Monica Madden at Beverly Hills Orthodontics, where they love supporting their athletes. Whether you're on the field, court, or track, Dr. Madden and her team will ensure you get the best orthodontic care to keep your smile strong and healthy. Check them out at BeverlyHillsOrtho.com or call 877-7-LET'S-DO-THIS. With 4 locations, your orthodontic treatment is convenient no matter where you are. 877-753-8736.
Happy anniversary to you. Happy anniversary to Morongo for 20 years of tons of fun and great food and good times. Happy anniversary to you. Now your top reasons to visit Morongo.
The 20th Anniversary Marketplace Monday Special starts the 25th. This all-you-can-eat extravaganza is all yours for only $20.
And the number one reason.
Take home an anniversary beer stein when you purchase a 16-ounce draft beer at any of our bars the 22nd.
Morongo, good times.
Accident or injury, call Jacob and Ronnie. Call Jacob.
Hey guys, what's up? It's George Sedano. Waiting is never fun. Usually nothing good happens when you wait. My friend Jacob in the law offices of Jacob and Ronnie want to make sure you don't wait after an accident. Immediately after an accident, before talking to the insurance company, call Jacob, man. Jacob and his team will do all the work, make all the phone calls, handle the paperwork, set up the doctor's appointments, whatever the case may be. And when you speak to the insurance company first, it's a big mistake. Because you know why? They may later use your words against you. However, Jacob and his team, they'll guide you through the process, get you the compensation you deserve, and you don't have to pay Jacob unless he wins. Nothing out of pocket. Free. Gratis. So if you're injured in an accident, the first name, the first thought, the first call should be Jacob. Jacob, Jacob, Jacob. The consultation is free. That's right. Free. I told you. Gratis. Don't wait. Call Jacob 24 hours a day at 844-24-JACOB. That's 844-24-JACOB. Call him 844-24-JACOB or visit him online at calljacob.com.
Call Jacob.
Score a win with Amazon Pickup, the MVP of package pickup options. Amazon Pickup is a convenient and secure way to collect your Amazon packages from locations that are near you. Choose an Amazon locker or counter. Whether you're hustling between home, work, or your usual game day spots, grab your packages on your schedule. Amazon Pickup is the worry-free option for the times when home delivery isn't ideal. To find your nearest Amazon Pickup location, go to amazon.com/pickupmvp. That's amazon.com/pickupmvp.
Park, Party, and Play at Hollywood Park Casino. Join Travis Rogers and Kirk Morrison Sunday, November 24th for their live Rams postgame show from Ray's Lounge at Hollywood Park Casino. Win prizes and party with Travis, Kirk, and ESPN LA fans. Hollywood Park Casino is Los Angeles' premier card room casino and entertainment destination. Enjoy a postgame meal and drink at Ray's Lounge right after the game. Park, Party, and Play at Hollywood Park Casino. Elevate your game. Must be 21 and older.
Lakers Talk continues on 710 ESPN.
2 massive back-to-back road wins and another dominant night for AD, dropping 31 points in New Orleans last night.
It's always tough to win on the road. They play hard the entire game, so it's nothing that we didn't expect.
Here's LeBron dribbling down the middle all the way. Alley-oop to AD, slam dunk. Beautiful give and go from LeBron to Anthony Davis.
But we find a way to, pull it out and get stops towards the end and execute and just make plays towards the end of the game.
Lakers Talk is presented by Hoag Orthopedic Institute. When pain keeps you from doing what you love, Hoag Orthopedic Institute gets you back to you. Visit HoagOrthopedicInstitute.com to get the help you need today.
More Lakers Talk with Andy Kamenetzky right now.
Another one, tip of my tongue, I cannot remember. It is killing me because I know the voice.
Do you want the original? I mean, the original or the sample?
Original.
Okay, the original is Lynn Collins, who's a protege of James Brown.
I know who Lynn Collins is. She
it's like James Brown's Apple Bologna.
Yeah. Lynn Collins, if memory serves, she is on the soundtrack of a few different like blaxploitation movies, stuff like that. She's great.
Yeah,
she's if you get like JB's albums, like the JB's the group with James Brown.
Yeah,
you'll hear Lynn Collins. Fantastic voice.
It Takes Two.
Oh man, I hate to be that guy, man, Funchy, but music was better back then. Sorry.
It was.
We're dating ourselves, but it's true. Thanks again to Rob Mahoney from The Ringer for swinging by. Again, check out his piece about Anthony Davis. Mike Trudell, sideline reporter for the Lakers, going to be joining in about 20 minutes. And it's interesting talking about AD, Funchy, like confessional. I was not always convinced that AD could be the Lakers franchise number one guy that the team is built around. And none of this, by the way, I want to make it clear, is not questioning whether or not he's enough of a dog or anything like that, like enough of an alpha. Like that stuff is BS. It's silly. Like Tim Duncan was more than enough alpha to lead a team.
More of a beta, too.
Yeah.
More of a beta, but I mean, he was
that
good.
Here's the thing about if you are at this level in the NBA, unless you got there simply because you were so tall and so athletic that people were willing to look past the lack of true skill. They thought they could just mold you, and you kind of got there without wanting to be there. All these guys are alphas. Like, it is impossible to reach this level without being an alpha. And then you start getting to, like, the superstars. It's truly impossible. Like, it's degrees of how outwardly alpha you are. But, like, Tim Duncan was an alpha, man. Like, you're psychotic about your craft. You are psychotic about competition if you reach that level. Like, Kawhi Leonard may say 7 words a year, but I promise you, like, when that dude was healthy enough to be on the court, which is unfortunately not often, dude's a killer.
Silent killer.
Like, he is a killer. Steph Curry is a killer. Like, he may not have a big old...
No, he'll smile at your face and then kill you.
Right. Dude is a killer. These are all alphas. And Anthony Davis is an alpha, but he's not a showy alpha. So it was nothing like that. I just was concerned about the health, you know, as Rob Mahoney talked about. Like, that's always a thing you have to be worried about. Until the last couple of years, I was not convinced that Anthony Davis was a good enough playmaker to be your number one option. Like, he wasn't a bad passer. It wasn't anything like that. But I feel like to be the true number one built-around option of a contending level team, your player has to be an above-average playmaker. Like, and not a lot of big men necessarily are. I mean, it's trended more that direction.
You know what he's starting to do a lot more this year, or just starting to do more of, is getting the rebound and then taking that on a break.
Yeah.
And then just making decisions.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, the last couple of years have, like, especially last year, I thought AD's passing became terrific, and we're seeing more of it this year. So that box eventually got checked. And then the third thing that made me not convinced he could be is I was never convinced the Lakers would actually commit to making AD the number one guy. Like, you have to be willing to cut through. This is not a slam on LeBron. This is not a dig at LeBron. But if you are going to be making AD past LeBron in terms of focal point and importance, it takes a certain amount of willingness to do that as a franchise, and that's difficult at times to do with somebody of LeBron's stature, which is totally earned, but also too for an organization like the Lakers that is always really hesitant to step on their superstars' toes. And as much as I do think they treat AD like a superstar, he still ain't LeBron. Like, in terms of just overall stature and the way he resonates. Like, LeBron's LeBron. So I wasn't always convinced that the Lakers as an organization would get behind empowering that. But they did, to their credit. And J.J. Redick truly has said, this is AD's team. And you know what? LeBron, to his credit, as much as LeBron knows he still matters, his voice is still the most important, all of that, LeBron has said it's AD's team. We're all feeding him. He's the number one option now on offense, and he's been the most important defensive player basically since he arrived. These are the things that I was always concerned about, whether or not AD could be the number one guy. He clearly is moving forward. Coming up next, I want to talk about the conversation at practice today about D'Angelo Russell and the role that he is playing off the bench, accepting off the bench, but what does it mean for him to accept it? Get into that coming up next, 877-710-ESPN if you want to weigh in. Again, Mike Trudell joining in about 15 minutes. Lakers Talk, Andy Kamenetzky, 710-ESPN.
Hey, it's Mace here. Wait until you experience the NBA at the hottest, most amazing venue in LA. That is Cosm in Inglewood. It's called Immersive Shared Reality. It will look and feel like you are courtside. If you want to be at Cosm for live NBA action, go to Cosm.com. That's COSM.com. Use code ESPNLA. Get 20% off any NBA game in November. Do not wait. Tickets go fast. Go to Cosm.com. That's COSM.com. Hey, it's Cappy. Get ready to smile every mile with Ocean Subaru of Fullerton. Lease a brand new 2025 Subaru Crosstrek Limited for just $284 a month for 36 months with $39.95 due at signing. And if you're looking to sell your car, they'll pay you cash for it on the spot. Ocean Subaru off the 91 freeway. Visit oceansubaruoc.com.
With approved credit through Subaru Motors Finance. Not all buyers or vehicles will qualify. VIN S37011188. MSRP $36,558. Lease for 36 months, 10K miles. Plus tax, tag, title, and dock fee. Zero security deposit. See dealer for complete details. Expires 11/20/2024.
Some people just know they could save hundreds on car insurance by checking Allstate first. Like, to check the kickoff time first before showing up at the stadium.
What? The slot's full already?
Final score of today's game?
You said kickoff was at 3. It was last week.
That's not how it works, Bob. Yeah, checking first is smart. So check Allstate first for a quote that could save you hundreds. You're in good hands with Allstate.
Savings vary, subject to terms, conditions, and availability. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
Can't be home for the game?
Caught for the touchdown!
NFL Plus has you covered with live, local, and primetime games on the go.
What a game he's had.
On your mobile device, you can access live, local Sunday afternoon games and all the primetime action from Thursday Night Football, Sunday Night Football, and Monday Night Football.
Tonight was definitely their night.
Sign up for NFL Plus today at plus.nfl.com/radio. Subscription required for NFL Plus. Terms and conditions apply.
Hi, it's LeBron. The Lakers play here.
710 ESPN.
KSPN, Los Angeles.
A Good Karma Brands radio station. 710 ESPN. The radio home of the purple and gold. And the home of Lakers talk.
The Lakers went on the road for back-to-back road games and kept the winning rolling. That's now 5 wins in a row for the Lake Show.
A 2-game road trip with 2 wins. For a team that was 1-4 on the road before this trip, they'll certainly take it.
Well, it's good to know that you can execute down the stretch. You can make plays down the stretch no matter what the game calls for. And tonight was another one of those moments where last night we had to do it and tonight we had to do it as well.
It's a new edition of Lakers Talk with Andy Kamenetzky.
The Lakers are back at home tomorrow night for the first of 3 home games as AD and the purple and gold look to make it 6 straight wins.
So we just stay with it, stay together, ultimately, executed down the stretch and able to get a win.
Lakers Talk is presented by Hoag Orthopedic Institute. When pain keeps you from doing what you love, Hoag Orthopedic Institute gets you back to you. Visit HoagOrthopedicInstitute.com to get the help you need today.
Lakers Talk is on. Here's Andy Kamenetzky.
Going to be joined in about 15 minutes by Mike Trudell, sideline reporter for the Lakers. Want to talk with him about just what he's observed being around the team over this 9-4 start. Really fun beginning to the season for the Lakers. Very interesting beginning. One of the things that has made it interesting, actually, is D'Angelo Russell being moved to the bench. And, it's a role that, by the way, I think he's actually playing very well in. I think it's a role that makes a lot of sense for him, for the team. I think it's something that the team absolutely needed in terms of an established scorer, somebody that can also facilitate, create shots for others. even early in the season when in the starting lineup, D'Lo's shots and shot selection could come and go, get a little bit dicey. His playmaking had been outstanding. And actually the net rating for the team with D'Lo on the court, even with some of his struggles, was one of the best on the team, sometimes depending on when you were measuring it, the best. And J.J. Redick today at practice was asked about D'Angelo Russell and how he's handling this role on the bench.
He's handled it great. I think the challenge is always going to be for us as coaches to try to make sure that he gets to be D'Lo, and that's not an overnight process. That's a longer process. His engagement has been wonderful, just in terms of being with the team, but also his engagement defensively has really picked up the last 5 games.
And this, by the way, too, eventually led to an interesting exchange between me and J.J. Redick at practice today that it felt very classic J.J. Redick, maybe a little too strong considering he's only been the coach of this team for...
Beefing with J.J. already?
I'm not beefing with J.J. Redick. I want to make it clear. I'm not beefing with the man. I don't think he cares enough about me to beef with me, nor, frankly, should he care enough. But I found this exchange between me and JJ very revealing on a few levels.
You talked a lot heading into the season about just having a lot of communication with different players about roles, stuff like that. Was the idea of D'Lo coming off the bench something that you talked about him with before the season even began, just like this could be a possibility so he'd be prepared for it?
Yeah, I think you guys are looking at the role of a starter and a bench player as like what a role is. That's not a role on a team. That's literally what somebody announces before the game. That's not a role.
Well, but players sometimes see it differently.
D'Lo, I don't think D'Lo saw that differently. D'Lo and I talked prior to making the decision. He doesn't view it differently. I certainly don't view it differently. The role is not who starts and who comes off the bench. The role is how you play on the court. And there's not a role change for him. It's an adjustment for the team.
Now, this is really interesting to me because as we've seen a lot with J.J. Redick since he's been hired by the Lakers, and also, too, I think we saw this when he was with media. Like, J.J. is a really smart guy. I think he is somebody that knows he is a very smart guy, and he is somebody that can get very semantic-y in the way that he answers questions and I think approaches what you are asking him. And he was, I think, getting very semantic-y about how you are defining role and, saying again that it's just because you are announced with the starting lineup versus coming off the bench, like that in and of itself is not a role, which that is technically true. Like he is being accurate about this in the most literal sense. In terms of how the real world works, though, in the NBA, he is kind of being full of bleep. Like, in all honesty, like it's just the truth. I'm not even being critical of him for being full of bleep. He's saying the things that he thinks helps the situation the most. Fine, whatever. J.J. Redick has no obligation to be 100% honest to me or any of the media at all times. I don't expect him to be. But, like, look, I covered Lamar Odom's entire Laker career. Lamar Odom is quite possibly the most selfless teammate I have ever been around in any sport, any team whatsoever. Like, he is the consummate teammate, like always putting others before himself. Like, at times, people wished he would be more selfish as a player. And he was initially pissed when he got moved to the bench. And this is not like speculation. This is not, sources say, like, the source was Lamar Odom. Like, Lamar Odom.
You can almost say it was like the beginning and the end, too.
Right. He eventually turned around. Like, he accepted it because Lamar always accepts it. He flourished. He won Sixth Man of the Year. Like, it worked out great because, again, Lamar was always wired to do what was best for the team. But, like, if Lamar Odom would not like being moved to the bench, I can promise you D'Angelo Russell doesn't like it. But there's a difference, though, between, and it had been reported, by the way, that over the last couple of years, the Lakers had been very apprehensive to making this move with D'Lo because they were concerned about his reaction to it. And D'Angelo today was made available for us, and he talked about what has worked for him with the bench move and how he's approached it.
We were just talking to JJ a little bit about how the coaching staff, he said the coaching staff needs to do a better job of finding ways for you to be D'Lo more within kind of their system, I guess. What's that process been like between you trying to play the way that your coaches want versus the ways that you've always played? What's sort of the growth, I guess, on that?
Just a lot of sacrifice. Simple as that.
Have you been satisfied with the results?
Yeah, we're winning.
And that led to me asking D'Angelo Russell the following.
You said earlier in answering a question about adjustments and stuff that a certain amount of sacrifice is required. What specifically is being sacrificed?
Just sacrifice. However you use that word, I think it can, it's broad and it can go a lot of ways, but however you decide to use sacrifice, that's what I mean.
So basically, however anybody covering this team, anybody paying attention to this team, wants to define sacrifice, D'Lo is cool with. He just is making a point that it is a sacrifice. He's not going to drill down on the why, and I get it, because I think he's trying to avoid any type of headlines, and I understand why. Like, D'Lo has been a very polarizing player over the course of his career. He has, if nothing else, I think rubbed a lot of NBA media the wrong way. I've always been, for what it's worth, a resident of D'Lo Island. I think he's been an underrated player, and I think he's a really interesting guy. But I get it. And I know there will be Laker fans who hear D'Lo talking about sacrifice and be like, what the hell are you talking about, dude? Like, you weren't playing well as a starter. The defense and shot selection got you yanked from a game in Memphis. Don't even get us started about the playoffs. And my reaction is like, that's not the point. Like, if D'Lo feels better about this role, and it is a role, I'm sorry. If he feels better about this role coming off the bench, if feeling about it in terms of making a sacrifice for the team, if it sits better for him that way, if it feels in some way more noble, whatever, I don't care. Because if that's where the buy-in comes in, and by all appearances and everything I've heard, D'Lo may not prefer the role, but he's bought in. As long as he's bought in, man, I don't care if he likes it. Like, to some degree, that's what the money's for. But also, he doesn't have to like it. Like, it's not required for him to like it, and I don't think it says anything bad about D'Lo if he doesn't like it. Like, most players in the NBA want to start. D'Lo happens to be in a contract year. If he is, and he's seen the last couple of years, his market being soft, if he has concerns that could affect his market, I don't blame him for not wanting to come off the bench. Like, it doesn't make him selfish. Doesn't make him a bad guy. But it's fine. And if, again, thinking about this, outwardly talking about it as sacrificing, wanting Laker fans to know it's a sacrifice, makes him feel better about it, awesome. Like, really, truly awesome. Whatever it takes for him to do well in this role, and I think he has. Everybody benefits from it. I think especially D'Lo. Again, coming up next, going to talk with Mike Trudell, sideline reporter for the Lakers for Spectrum Sportsnet, but also want to make sure everybody knows whether you are heading to the stadium to cheer on the Lakers or going to watch the game at a friend's house, commit to the Go Safely game plan. If you plan to drink, plan ahead. Leave the keys behind. Get a sober designated driver. Still need sober ride home? You have options. Public transportation, ride-hailing service. Just stick to that game plan. Whatever you do, don't let yourself or your friends land a technical foul by driving impaired. Even the slightest impairment can hinder your ability to drive safely. Celebrate a sober ride home. It's always a win. Don't let friends drive drunk. Go Safely, California. From the California Office of Traffic Safety and Caltrans, ESPN LA 710.
Lakers fans, take the purple and gold with you wherever you go by downloading the Lakers app, presented by BBGO. With the Lakers app, get the latest team news, live updates, in-game highlights, photos, and more. Available in the App Store for free. Don't miss any of the action as the season continues. And always be game day ready. The Lakers app has you covered. Download now to your iPhone or Android. Let's go, Lake Show.
All right,
NextGen is the official plumbing, heating, and AC company of SoCal sports fans. For just $14.99 a month, enjoy year-round coverage for all your plumbing, heating, and AC needs. No unexpected timeouts, just total peace of mind. As a NextGen member, you get complimentary multi-point tune-ups, annual water heater flushes, plumbing safety inspections, and VIP 2-hour priority service. Don't miss out. Call 833-3-NEXGEN today or visit nextgenaaronplumbing.com.
NEXGEN, call 833-3NEXTGEN.
1-877 Cards for Kids. KARS Cards for Kids. 1-877 Cards for Kids. Donate your card today.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Donate your car today at carsforkids.org. That's cars with a K. Your car, running or not, can be picked up as soon as the next day. You'll get a maximum tax deduction and a vacation voucher.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Now accepting donations of land, homes, buildings, or any kind of real estate.
Paid for by Cars for Kids.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6759. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS.
Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start.
Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems.
We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau.
You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com
or call 800-575-6759. That's 800-575-6759.
Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
This is Lakers Talk with Andy Kamenetzky on 710 ESPN.
LeBron hit the dagger. AD put up 31 points. And Dalton Knecht was on fire.
Here's Austin Reeves. Kick it to Knecht. Three-pointer by Dalton. Good again. Knecht is now, I think, Michael, the best shooter on the Lakers.
His shooting's infectious. He can get him off versus anybody. He's 6'8", 6'9", so, and he got a hair trigger. So it doesn't take long for him to get him up, and sneaky athletic as well.
It's the home of the Lake Show and the home of Lakers Talk.
Lakers Talk is presented by Hoag Orthopedic Institute. When pain keeps you from doing what you love, Hoag Orthopedic Institute gets you back to you. Visit HoagOrthopedicInstitute.com to get the help you need today.
Back to Andy Kamenetzky.
Okay, walk on by, obviously.
Not walk on by.
It's not walk on by?
Not walk on by.
Who is this?
This is the Charmels. As long as I got you.
Oh.
And this is an infamous sample for this
Cash
guy.
rules everything around me.
The guy on the line right now is going to know this one.
Oh, yeah, he absolutely will. Again, reminder, this is Lakers Talk. Andy Kamenetzky, ESPN LA 710. Lakers back in the crypt tomorrow, taking on the Jazz. Pre-game coverage with Beto Duran begins at 6 p.m., followed by the tip at 7:30, then the post-game. And during the broadcast on Spectrum Sportsnet, you will be getting great insights and observations from their sideline reporter, who's also now popping by here at 710 more often. That's really awesome. Mike Trudell, how are you, man?
I'm great. I thought that RZA just put that together himself. I didn't realize it was a sample from an old song. So, thank you, Funchy, for educating.
Is this like for you learning that Santa isn't real? Like, has it been this type of disillusionment?
Well, it is funny, Andy, because there are a lot of the hip hop that we listened to in the '90s and even early 2000s was like sampled from old tunes that I just hadn't heard before. And so sometimes now when if anything comes up at random, I'll be like, oh, So I wasn't super cultured in exactly what a sample was in 1996 when All Eyes on Me came out. I just assumed that was all put together by Tupac. But I do give the artist credit, for the production nonetheless.
When in doubt, assume it's a James Brown sample. You've got like a 50-50 shot of being right.
That's probably a good point. So what's up, man? How you doing?
Good. Wanted to talk with you in particular, sort of a theme of the conversation, the vibes of the team, because it is a new environment under J.J. Redick, and I want to make it clear this is not meant as a shot against Darvin Ham, so people don't misinterpret that. Different doesn't necessarily have to mean bad or good. It's just different. That being said, what feels most different to you under J.J. Redick?
Well, I think that Redick just got to what he thought was going to be the best lineup right away. And, even though that has since been tweaked with the Reddish change, trying to mix up the offense and defense a little bit more, which certainly makes sense. And I think at some point that might have happened organically if Vanderbilt were healthy, that, he would have gotten that. You would have put D'Lo into that six-man spot right away, put Vanderbilt next to Reeves. But Reddish has been really good, although he didn't play in the last game. So that's the first thing, just playing that group off the top and not playing the smaller groups that struggled last year. And that was, essentially Taurean Prince at the 3 on top of Russell and Reeves. And I thought that was kind of the biggest own goal of what was ailing the Lakers last year throughout the first portion of the season. And then even going back into the Westbrook era, the team now has kind of gotten back more towards what the 2019-20 team was with the size that they have, although it's a more offensively kind of focus group now just based on some of the personnel that they have. And so that's the first thing. Then the second big thing, Andy, as you know, and I think you have been with me on this one, I feel like I've been screaming about how Anthony Davis is not fully appreciated, and particularly the impact that he has on the defensive end for years now.
Yep.
So now what we're getting this year, okay, he's scoring 30 points, which is great. And everybody's like, oh, it's a whole new Anthony Davis. And I'm out here, and hopefully you're with me, saying, no, he's just getting more touches, and he's getting touches in the right spots. And that's another part where I give J.J. Redick some credit, where he's allowing AD touches and just pulling out the big on the opposing roster, who invariably cannot guard Anthony Davis. And what happens then? He gets to the free throw line. So, last year, AD averaged 25 points on 55% from the field. That was 15th in the league. That was awesome. And I feel like now we're like, wait, what? AD could score? Yes, but he has upped his shots by only about 2 or 3 per game, but the free throw attempts are up 6 per game from last year. And that's the difference between 30 to 31 points and 25 points. It's not that he learned some new trick. It's that because he's getting the ball more often, he's in a better rhythm offensively, yes. But again, wasn't like he was struggling the last couple of years. But I'm giving him some credit, and then the coaching staff some credit for just giving him the ball in better spots and making it clear that the hierarchy on the team starts with him and what he's able to do.
Talking with Mike Trudell, sideline reporter for the Lakers with the Spectrum Sportsnet coverage. Follow him on Twitter, although I'm guessing all of you do, at Lakers Reporter. Why do you think that it took the organization, whether you're talking about those in charge of play calling, the organizational ethos, whatever, this long to make this shift with Anthony Davis? The idea of declaring it, for lack of a better way of putting it, AD's team.
Yeah, so this is one that's tricky because it's a subtle shift, and I literally subtle in the fact that he's just getting a few more touches in the last couple of years, and maybe those went to LeBron James, who is the top, you say it, 1, 2, 3 player of all time if you want to have that debate. So it's and by the way, a guy who was still an all NBA caliber player that was just the MVP of the Olympics. So I've never really thought that, let me try to make the argument more clear. I don't think that Anthony Davis needed to have the additional usage last year or the year before because he was doing so much on the defensive end of the court. And by the way, he still is, that LeBron having more of that usage was fine. The Lakers were still good. Could it have helped if they shifted that a little bit? Sure, but I don't think there's anybody to blame on that. It's just more that you have LeBron James on your roster, and therefore, even now, think about crunch time in New Orleans where LeBron drills the back-to-back threes. He's still going to do that. He's still going to get the ball, and you still want him, Andy, making a lot of those decisions. So I was just more of the let's not blame Anthony Davis and say that he's not taking over games enough, or say that he's not a dominant alpha guy enough. Because when LeBron or let's say D'Lo got hot, or let's say Austin got hot, AD is going to find other ways to contribute towards winning. And I'm just saying, let's not emphasize the scoring column so much, even though clearly he can do it if you increase his usage like you have this year, if that makes sense.
No, it absolutely makes sense. Talking with Mike Trudell, sideline reporter for the Lakers, Spectrum Sportsnet coverage. You will see him, hear from him tomorrow during the Lakers game at the Crypt versus the Jazz. This gets into a theory of mine that I've had for a while that I'll run past you because I don't recall if we've ever talked about this specifically, but a lot of the way AD has been talked about and the way that he's been framed as inconsistent, and particularly as an offensive player, I think that has actually always been more through the prism of what people have wanted to have for LeBron in terms of help, given where LeBron is in his career, and like the idea of wanting to take more of a burden off his plate. So therefore, what you're looking for from AD just gets ratcheted up more. Because to me, if LeBron was pushing 30 instead of 40, if you had the exact same numbers for AD, people would be saying it's unfair that like the exact same Anthony Davis, that's unfair with LeBron. I think it's always been more about LeBron's age than anything AD is really doing wrong.
Yeah, yes. And so maybe since I'm your target market on this one, right, like what has AD done wrong? The only thing that I can really think of in terms of what influenced the public in this would be like after the rare playoff game where teams were hard trapping AD from the first quarter on, and he ends up finishing with like 18 points instead of 30. And then in the post-game show on Inside the NBA or something, it's like, oh, wait, what was Anthony Davis doing? And meanwhile, he was passing out of the double teams and somebody else was taking that usage. So, and like LeBron would be there to decide that to some extent, who was going to get the ball and what was going to happen from that point on. But this is why I've been such a big fan of Anthony Davis, and it harkens back a little bit, Andy, to the way that I feel like we used to try to defend Pau Gasol.
Yes, yes,
you know what I mean?
simpatico.
Yeah, because it's like so there. Yes, when you have the ultimate alpha dog on the team, it was Kobe then, it's LeBron now. The guy that is the number 2, at least coming in, is always. This would have been Dwayne Wade with LeBron, to an extent Kyrie, and I think, by the way, Anthony Davis is the best out of that group, and Pau would be close, but because AD is basically the best defensive player in the league, while having the capability to be a top 10 offensive player, like that Pau wasn't quite as impactful defensively, as awesome as he was. So that's sort of the larger way of looking at twosomes and kind of star tandems in the NBA. When the alpha, and by the way, I'm sure Scottie Pippen would have something to say on this topic, right? Like it's just that guy while getting lifted in so many ways. It's difficult to appreciate, and to just address the flip side. So this doesn't sound like we're doing nothing but 100% compliments. Like AD, as awesome as he was in New Orleans, of course, benefits in a lot of ways from coming and playing with LeBron. Of
course he does.
So I wouldn't just want to toss him on a different team, but if you put him in Philly and gave him the usage of Joel Embiid, I think that he would score that much, and it would be then you would get more of that individual comment about him. But then who would his number 2 be, and would that be enough? So this is just basketball, right? This is something that we will continue to argue about into eternity when you're trying to figure out who the best guy is and who the second best guy is.
Talking with Mike Trudell, Spectrum Sportsnet sideline reporter for all of your Lakers games. You're going to see him tomorrow when the Lakers take on the Jazz at the Crypt, Game 2 of the NBA Cup. And Mike, the NBA taking a page out of your beloved soccer. This has got to be a great time to be alive for you as an NBA fan.
Well, I'm the original biggest fan of the NBA Cup. I was very excited when I heard about the format. I heard all about it in the broadcast meetings before last season. And so, yes, because I'm a soccer fan, I'm familiar with the in-season type tournament, although it's, of course, different in Europe where they play from the start of the season all the way to the end. And it would be like if they split up the NBA Cup, but you had like a couple of cup games each month, and then the payoff was at the end. But the NBA wanted to differentiate their full title, right? The Larry O'Brien, like they wanted that to stand on its own, and so they thought, well, okay, well, let's put it earlier, and let's try to take some of that early energy that football seems to soak up. And so I get it, which I get, and I think it worked out great so far.
Yeah,
yeah.
I was going to say I really like it as well. I know nothing about soccer, so to be honest, when I first heard the way this is being presented, I didn't get it. I wasn't against it. I just was like, I'm not sure what this is, and I wasn't sure that the players would care. But the fact that these are regular season games, so if you want to get a good seed, you have to win these games regardless of whether you give a crap about the cup or not. And then, most of these guys, they're competitive freaks, man. If you put something in front of them to win, they're going to want to win it.
Yeah, for sure. And that's the other part of it that just hits me in my soft spot because I love winning anything. And, and like that. So that level of energy, right? When it's something, if it's rock, paper, scissors and we're going to play, Andy, like I'm going to be mad if I lose, even if it's a simple game. So that's all it is. And I think that if you're still struggling to understand exactly what it is, don't even worry so much about the group stage. Like there are 3 groups, A, B, and C in each conference. The winner of that group goes on, and then you get a wild card. So it's not that hard. You get to a quarterfinal. But everybody can understand a single elimination tournament at like the final 8. And then once it gets down there, right, 2 teams go head-to-head in each conference. Winners go to Vegas. Winner of that was the champion. Like, everybody gets that. And so that, at a minimum, I think is cool. And the Lakers actually, Andy, get a little bit of luck this year because right now, well, first of all, they had a tough win at San Antonio and with Wemby. And, so that's in the bank, just like last year. The first one was at Phoenix. So they banked that one. Now they get Utah tomorrow. Utah's in last place in the West. Then they go to Phoenix, and Phoenix is without KD right now and Bradley Beal. We'll see if Beal is back. Like, I thought they said calf contusion, which is one of those things like, oh, okay, he'll be okay. But now he's missed 4 games in a row now. So who's to say if he's back? And then OKC comes into town without Chet. And I don't know if Hartenstein will be back yet. So the Lakers have benefited so far, Andy. And by the way, just to throw this in tandem about things they're benefiting from, big moving day today in the West because Houston lost and Phoenix lost to Eastern Conference teams. And then Golden State right now is playing the Clippers. So the Lakers' sole possession of third place. Yes! They've been able to say that this early in the season, right, since the 1920 season when they came out like 21-3. So it is. I'm sure they're a little bit. JJ Redick coming in is, at least so far since they've taken care of business, there isn't that same level of that everybody that we have been looking at the standings and figuring out. Okay, wait, so they're gonna have to go 20-7 just to get to the 7 seed, right? Like that. This is where they would like to be if they can stay there. Knock on wood.
Fingers crossed. That's the way it stays. Talking with Mike Trudell, sideline reporter for the Lakers TV broadcast, Spectrum Sportsnet. You'll see him tomorrow in the Lakers game against the Jazz. Last question for you. Dalton Mania sweeping L.A., and he was a topic of conversation during practice today. You've been around him, like certainly more than I have. What is his personality like, and what do you think about his personality, or I guess maybe it's just purely his play, has allowed the vets to trust him this much this quickly?
Well, I think that for Dalton, it's really pretty simple with him. It's like you tell me what you would like to get done in the court, and that's what I'm going to do. So JJ Redick tells him early in the season, if you're going to play at all, and I know you can shoot, that's great. Like, you catch the ball, you shoot it, but I need you to give me the best effort you possibly can on defense. I need you to hit the glass. And so when he goes in, that's what he focuses on. He's not falling asleep. He might make the occasional error. He might miss a rotation, right? He might blitz when you're supposed to drop, like some stuff like that any rookie is going to do. But he's always trying to be engaged with what the game plan is. And therefore, like, since that stuff is accounted for, that's what the coaches are asking for, that's great. And by the way, not every player can do that. Not every player is capable of just doing what the plan is and trying to execute it. And then what you really see, though, Andy, is the talent coming through and just how good that ball looks when it comes off of his hand. Like, that is not something that can be taught or learned in a short period of time. He has always been able to shoot at least somewhat close to this. And it's funny because, Redick made that comment about the 1% of shooters, and I think everybody around the league was like, really? But the way that I took it was, well, I guess JJ would know. right? Like that was him.
Yes.
So and he's watched him in practice. So like, I don't think he would throw that out there if he didn't really think it. And and JJ doesn't say stuff often that I'm sitting, and I think you would probably agree with this. It's not like he's stumping us all the time where we're sitting in those press conferences and be like, what did he say? JJ seems very logical and very rational and very reasonable. So I really took note when he said that. And hey, guess what? The last couple games, oh yeah, I get it. That's what we're seeing.
Well, he also
he's amongst the best shooters out there.
Redick carefully considers every single word that comes out of his mouth, like whether I think he's being fully transparent with us, whether I think, and this happened to me a little bit today in talking with him in practice or after practice about D'Angelo Russell coming off the bench. I think JJ can get very semantic-y in the way he answers questions, but like either way, he is heavily considering everything he says. So I agree with you. He's not going to call Dalton Knecht a 1% shooter unless he thinks there's validity to it, because nobody gains from that particular statement BSing. You know what I mean? Like all you're doing is.
And if you just watch that Pelicans game, you're like, yeah. Yeah. And it's not just that game, right? I think I said it during the game, and I don't know what it ended up being. I'd have to double check, but he's made something like 12 out of his last 19 threes or something like that.
Something along those lines. I mean, he's
I was
just going to say, as a starter, and in particular the last couple games, he's just been absolutely on fire.
Yeah, no doubt. So, and to get from a first-round pick, Andy, you don't often see. I was talking to our mutual friend Pete Zeiss about this. Like, you don't often see somebody in the first round come in and fit so well, and like with their skill set to be able to play and to fill a need that the Lakers have. Like, they don't really have somebody else that you would consider running off screens. I think Austin Reeves would be the closest to it to an extent, D'Lo, but they're more guys that are going to create with the ball in their hands, even though they can play off it. Like, Dalton just comes right in, and he gets to play with LeBron James, who's amongst the best ever at being able to give you the ball in the right spot, and a coach that knows how to use ATOs to get a shooter, because that's what he did when he was a player. And two other kind of point guard capable players in Reeves and Russell at any time that are on the floor, and a big man in Anthony Davis who is unselfish and will find you. And so that's what that fit that they've gotten in making that pick and having Knecht slip to them is the one part of it that's valuable. And then the other is that because he's the 17th pick, his salary is a lot lower than what somebody of his caliber would typically be, like, because it scales, right? So the number one pick makes a lot more than the number 17 pick, and that just kind of adds to the versatility and flexibility that the Lakers already have because of Austin's contract. So it just ends up fitting perfect so far. And I think that's been a big reason why the Lakers were able to win these last couple games.
He is Mike Trudell. He is the sideline reporter for all Lakers games, home and road, for the Spectrum Sportsnet broadcast. You'll see him tomorrow during the Lakers game, NBA Cup number 2. They are undefeated in Cup play, the greatest Cup team ever. Mike Trudell, follow him on Twitter. It is factual. Follow him on Twitter at Lakers Reporter. Appreciate the time, brother. Thank you.
All right, guys. I said guys, but I meant Andy and Funches. Okay. See you later.
Later. Again, Mike Trudell, sideline reporter for the Lakers. Coming up, talk a little bit about Pat Riley getting a statue, joining the museum in front of the crypt. That's coming up next, 710 ESPN.
Hey, it's Sedano. LA is the home of champions, so celebrate like a champion with Tequila Mandala. Award-winning artisanal small batch premium sipping tequila. Our friends at Tequila Mandala turning tequila fans into Tequila Mandala fanatics. Made from the finest mature agaves to bring you the perfect sipping tequila, from their Blanco to their flawless year extra añejo. Up your game with Tequila Mandala and experience the best award-winning premium tequila. Available everywhere fine tequilas are sold. Visit tequilamandala.com for more details.
Hey, it's Travis here for Prize Picks. You know Prize Picks by now, right? Pick more, pick less. It really is that easy. Why not take what is some of the best times of the year? You got baseball, basketball, football, hockey, everything you can think of, and make it even better with Prize Picks. All you have to do is pick more or less. And right now, you can win up to 100 times your money on Prize Picks with as little as 4 correct picks. There's a reason that Prize Picks is the only real money daily fantasy platform with an injury insurance policy policy so that your lineups stay in play even if one of your favorite players gets injured. And if your player leaves in the first half and doesn't return, Prize Picks keeps your lineup alive. So why not join Prize Picks? It is the absolute best place to get real money sports action. Join over 10 million users, including me, and sign up today. Put in that promo code 710 when you sign up, and you're going to get $50 instantly when you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. Run your game.
ESPN LA and Beverly Hills Orthodontics are teaming up this fall because we want to know who's smiling in SoCal. Go to ESPNLA.com and nominate who you think is making LA a better place. This can be a mentor, a teacher, a coach, a good Samaritan, a youngster who brightens your day. Tell us who's smiling and you could win some awesome prizes like sweet tickets from ESPN LA, Sonic Care electric toothbrushes, whitening treatment, and a grand prize of Invisalign from Beverly Hills Ortho. Enter now at ESPNLA.com and remember you're always smiling at Beverly Hills Orthodontics.
Texting enrolls you in a recurring automated marketing text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
The team's looking good this season.
I think so. Man, I miss playing football. Being young with unlimited energy to burn. Ever since I turned 40, I just can't find that fire I used to have.
Think it could be lower testosterone?
What do you mean?
All guys lose their edge when they turn 40. The body has less testosterone. That's why I take Nugenix Total T.
I've heard about Nugenix. That really works?
Since I started taking Nugenix, I'm lifting like when we played for Coach Carter. I feel more energized at work. It's even spiced up things between me and the missus.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles for people to try?
Yep, send a text. It's that easy.
Text STAY to 42424 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T. It's the #1 selling testosterone boosting brand at GNC and Walmart. Do it now and they'll also send you a bottle of Nugenix Thermo X, their newest, most powerful fat burner ever, absolutely free. Text STAY to 42424. That's STAY to 42424. These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Lakers Talk continues on 710 ESPN.
Two massive back-to-back road wins and another dominant night for AD, dropping 31 points in New Orleans last night.
It's always tough to win on the road. They play hard the entire game, so it's nothing that we didn't expect.
Here's LeBron dribbling down the middle all the way, alley-oop to AD, slam dunk. Beautiful give and go from LeBron to Anthony Davis.
But we find a way to, pull it out and get stops towards the end and execute and just make plays towards the end of the game.
Lakers Talk is presented by Hoag Orthopedic Institute. When pain keeps you from doing what you love, Hoag Orthopedic Institute gets you back to you. Visit HoagOrthopedicInstitute.com to get the help you need today.
More Lakers Talk with Andy Kamenetzky right now.
Now this I know. This is the Isley Brothers.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow, Andy. I am very surprised that you knew that.
Footsteps in the Dark.
Man.
This one I know.
I get some points for that.
I needed, for some sense of pride, as a total music dork, and this being one of my genres, I had to get one.
Man, I am very impressed at that.
Thank you. I'm trying to remember which song it is. There's a song that my daughter likes. She's 13. It's a song by Thundercat.
You know what? I just recently got into him.
He's great.
Great.
He is.
Oh my god.
He actually sounds like he's from this era.
Yeah, right?
Like it's song. I forget the name of the title. It might be called "Them Changes," but it goes, "Nobody move. There's blood on the floor."
I'll look it up.
And it samples heavily "Footsteps in the Dark."
Okay, I'll look it up.
So there you go. Lakers Talk. Andy Kamenetzky, 710 ESPN. Thanks again to Mike Trudell for joining us. And we're going to do a little crunch time in about 10 minutes. Funchy's going to lead that. In case folks did not hear, the Lakers announced today that there is going to be a statue forthwith, the exact date TBD, but at the crypt of Pat Riley. Riles, he is going to be joining both Kobe statues, statue of Shaq, Kareem, Magic, Chick, Jerry West, Elgin Baylor. Like, I was thinking about this today. Like, it sounds like a joke, Funchy, to say, like, it's going to be a museum out there of statues. And that's not even counting, like, Wayne Gretzky or Luke Robitaille or De La Hoya or Bob Miller.
I was going to say,
like, not even counting that. But just, like, the Lakers alone, it's like a museum with all the statues. Like a museum in terms of, like, art, because these are statues. That is art. but also like a museum of history, because museums do often mark history. And it's a reminder that Lakers history, beyond being just incredibly successful, it's really interesting. Like, I've read many Laker books, by Roland Lazenby or like Jerry West's incredible autobiography, or, Mark Heisler wrote a really good book about the Lakers. There are all sorts of different really good ones. And just the history of this team is fascinating beyond just
the different eras and stuff like that.
Yeah, the different eras and the championships and stuff. And, like, look, if Riley has a statue, I think it's safe to assume Phil Jackson's going to have a statue at some point.
Yeah, social media was up and, uproar.
Wait,
because of that.
I was away from social a lot today. What were they?
I mean, people were just like, "Whoa, Riles going to get one. How come Phil didn't get it?" Well, he's not getting one
until the Lakers.
Phil got one more than Riles, right?
He did. He got 5 with the Lakers. Riles got 4.
Mm-hmm.
Showtime, Magic had 5 total, but one of them was Paul Westhead. Then Riley took over, won the '82 championship.
A lot of people say the Shaq and Kobe era is better than the Showtime era.
Well, okay, and
I'm not one of them, but
sure. I mean, I'm reasonably knowledgeable of Showtime, but I did not see nearly as many Showtime games as I saw of Kobe's.
I mean, you lived it,
right? Kobe, whether you're talking Kobe Shaq or especially Kobe Powell, because those were teams that I covered. I'm not here to debate which is better or whatever, but until the Lakers formally announced that Phil Jackson will not be getting a statue, I would assume that he is getting one. Then you start getting into the questions of, whether LeBron and or AD will ever have one. Worthy's on my list. Worthy's on my list. I think when you take into account everything he meant to the organization, plus, finals MVP in '88, plus he has been part of the Lakers coverage for so long, Worthy's awesome on the broadcasts. Like, Worthy is fantastic.
Finals MVP?
88 Finals MVP. Like, it's so funny, too, because Worthy's thought of as the third option with those teams.
Yeah, but you mean Magic and Kareem. That's why.
Dude, Worthy was so good. Like, he was so good. Do you know how many teams around the league, I'm sure around that time, are like, James Worthy is your effing third option? Like,
right?
Are you serious? Like, that's why, like, whenever I hear people complain about the team-up era, like, superstars looking to team up, you're like, back in the 80s, Magic would have never done that. Kareem would have. They didn't have to. Like, they did not have to. The super teams
literally had like 3 or 4 Hall of Famers on, each team.
Dude, if Magic was really that competitive, he would have gone to Dr. Buss and said, trade Worthy. Like, this is too easy. Like, I want you to make this a little bit harder. This is unfair to the rest of the league. Trade Worthy somewhere. And you know what? Trade him for 50 cents on the dollar. Like, I want you to make a bad trade for involving Worthy. Just because I want to prove that me and Kareem and, like, Byron and Coop,
these scrubs over here. These scrubs over here.
These scrubs, like Byron Scott, if he played the same career for damn near any other franchise in the league, Byron's numbers in the rafters. Like, he's like a franchise icon for most organizations, whereas with the Lakers, he's not in the Ring of Honor because they don't have a Ring of Honor.
But still, he's like loved. Super loved.
Oh, yeah. No, of course, and he should be. And another guy who's great on air. But, like, Byron's not in a Ring of Honor for the Lakers because the Lakers don't have a Ring of Honor because they don't need a Ring of Honor because they already have enough damn jerseys up in the rafters.
And then that also goes with the Ori argument, too.
Oh, Ori, like Derek Fisher. Like, Derek Fisher is, for any other organization, one of, like, your all-time
greats.
Yeah. Like, just for the, critical part of 5 championships.
0.04.
Yeah. Like, it's just crazy how rich the Lakers' history is. That, like, Pau Gasol is maybe like the 10th or 11th best player.
He might be the greatest one in Grizzly history.
I'm trying to well, we got to see what happens with
Ja Morant, yeah. But up to now, he might be the greatest player in Grizzly history.
It depends, I think, to some degree about how attached people feel to like the grit and grind era and like Zach Randolph, Mike Conley. They went further. Marc Gasol.
I say that, but still, as a player, he's better than Zach Randolph and Mike Conley.
Yeah, okay. If you're talking pure talent, like pure play, yes. And those guys never had to be the number one and try to carry the team.
No.
Like, those teams of Powell got swept in the playoffs every year.
Look at those teams, though. They're bad.
I know. Oh, yeah. No. Like, it's no shade against Powell. But, like, again, putting it in perspective, you're talking about Powell is potentially the best Grizzly ever. Or he's easily top 5. Like, that's not even arguable. Mm-hmm. On this list of Lakers, what is he like? Maybe he's 8th, 9th highest?
I don't even know he's in the 10.
Right.
I don't know if he's in a top 10.
I mean, let me go off the top of my head.
I mean, you also got to think about, like, Wilt Chamberlain and Elgin Baylor and all those dudes.
I mean, okay, West, Kobe, Magic, that's, like, obvious. Kareem. Then you get to, like, Shaq. There's 5, like, right there. LeBron. He's not going to pass Worthy. He's not going to pass Elgin, probably.
Anthony Davis. I mean, Yeah,
it's just crazy.
Yeah.
It's the history of this organization. When you can start thinking about the amount of coaches that are going to get, their statue. When you start thinking about, whether LeBron and AD, they're definitely getting the numbers. Jeannie's already said this. But, like, will one or both end up with a statue? Like, it's just insane. Like, y'all are lucky listening right now. I hope y'all feel and recognize how lucky you are to be fans of this organization like that. Just the luck of geography. You were born in L.A. or had somebody in your family with L.A. roots or however you ended up discovering this team. I hope you feel fortunate because it's a real special treat. All right, coming up next, we're going to close out little crunch time. Funchy's going to leave that. Andy Kamenetzky, Lakers Talk, ESPN LA.
Just like the Lakers have a game plan on the court, you should have a Go Safely game plan off the court. If you plan to drink, plan for a designated sober driver. If you're the designated sober driver, move over a lane when you see amber flashing lights on Caltrans, law enforcement, or other emergency vehicles or tow trucks. If you can't move over safely, slow down and be work zone alert. Go Safely, California, from the California Office of Traffic Safety and Caltrans.
Don't you love the sounds of the holiday season? The bells, the sleighs. Woohoo! If so, your holiday's now even more magical because now during the Hyundai Getaway Sales Event, you can take home your favorite Hyundai with some of the season's greatest savings.
Drive away now in the Hyundai Santa Fe with 1.99% APR for 72 months. See your SoCal Hyundai dealer. Offers end December 2nd. Call 714-568-7676 for details.
Park, party, and play at Hollywood Park Casino, LA's premier card room. Now open 24/7. Play no-bust blackjack, poker, and more. Enjoy Century Bar and Grill's flavorful menu for lunch or late-night dinners. Watch your favorite teams and catch up with friends on game days. Unwind and enjoy live music and crafted cocktails at Ray's Lounge. Easy parking and access, Hollywood Park Casino. Located next door to the Forum and SoFi Stadium. Park, party, and play. Hollywood Park Casino. Elevate your game.
Must be 21 and older to enter. These are approved DOJ games. Geico 004527. Geico 003871.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Score a win with Amazon Pickup, the MVP of package pickup options. Amazon Pickup is a convenient and secure way to collect your Amazon packages from locations that are near you. Choose an Amazon locker or counter. Whether you're hustling between home, work, or your usual game day spots, grab your packages on your schedule. Amazon Pickup is the worry-free option for the times when home delivery isn't ideal. To find your nearest Amazon Pickup location, go to amazon.com/pickupmvp. That's amazon.com/pickupmvp.
Choosing the right candidates for any office can be difficult.
My office has lots of drama.
My office has its ups and downs.
I share my office. But no matter what kind of office you have, one thing's for certain. If you're hiring, you need ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter's powerful matching technology finds the most qualified candidates for your roles fast, and you can invite your top choices to apply. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. So, for any kind of office,
I'm really going places in my office.
My office has everything you could ever want.
Count on ZipRecruiter to find the right candidates for it. Try ZipRecruiter for free today at ZipRecruiter.com/LA. That's ZipRecruiter.com/LA. ZipRecruiter.com/LA.
JJ, your
It's crunch time on Lakers Talk.
When the clock is ticking and it's all coming down to the wire, you know what that means.
This is crunch time.
All right, going to close things out as always. A little crunch time, led by Funchy.
We had a statue discussion last segment. One thing we didn't mention is that Jerry Buss doesn't have a statue.
That feels missing.
Yeah, right? Or it's going to come soon or something, right?
You got to have one for Jerry Buss. Like, I mean, none of the Lakers as we know it happens without Jerry Buss. So, yeah, there's another statue.
Just him at a poker table would be him at the statue?
Okay, we were talking about this during the break. My first year covering the Lakers formally, the 2006 season, the first season that Phil came back, the Lakers had a charity poker tournament for the Lakers Youth Foundation, and I got invited to play in it. Very exciting. I was extremely just excited to do this. And I ended up different times of the night, but one of them was at a table with Jim Buss. And once with Jim Buss, and he was a very loose player. But then I also ended up at a table with Dr. Buss. And I was very excited. I recognized charity tournament, likely did not give a crap.
You went at him like a shark.
I took him in a hand.
Look
I was
at you,
so
Matt Damon.
Excited
Took
about
down Johnny
this.
Chan at the table.
Yeah, this was my no stakes Johnny Chan in rounders moment.
Look at you.
But I was so excited. I took Dr. Buss in a hand because everybody knows that dude was a good
Really
poker player.
good. Really good. He was always in those tournaments you
Yeah.
see on TV every night or whatever, yeah.
No, I imagine if this was for real money, Dr. Buss would have kicked my ass. But even in this setting, I was very excited.
All right, man. So the big story of the weekend was the Jake Paul and Mike Tyson fight. Did you get a chance to watch it?
I watched some of it, yeah.
Yeah, it was hard to watch, right?
What a farce.
I know, right? Good thing it was on Netflix because, I'd be mad to give them a lot of money, but we're still paying for it anyway, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Bovada, which is one of my sites, they had odds for the next current or former NBA player to fight Jake Paul. What do you think about that? Well, who do you think is number one, first of all?
Number one? Meta World Peace?
Meta World Peace.
Nice.
Plus 500, yes. But surprisingly, number two, I'm very surprised at number two.
Number two? Give me a hint.
Former Laker center.
Former Laker center?
Yes.
Former Laker center Shaq?
No. Last championship team.
Last championship team? Dwight Howard?
Yes. Dwight Howard is number two on the list.
I don't picture Dwight doing that. Frankly,
Not at all.
I don't picture Meta doing it either.
I picture Meta doing it more than Dwight.
Maybe, but I honestly don't picture either one of them doing it.
Coming in at 3, Ben Wallace.
Let me tell you,
I would love to see that.
I would love to see that. If you're Jake Paul, I highly recommend avoiding that one.
But I also wanted to see Ben Wallace at his peak doing that. Though.
Yeah, I know. Ben Wallace
when he was like pushing the Shaq away in 04 finals.
I mean, Ben Wallace has to be in his mid to late 40s at this point. So,
Number 4, Matt Barnes.
I'm not going to lie. That one sounds intriguing. My money might. I know Jake Paul's legit MMA trained. Like, he knows how to get hit, all that stuff. I imagine Matt Barnes, though, knows how to throw some hands.
Also, another name on the list, Rajon Rondo, which I would kind of love to see.
I'd like to see that. Paul's got way too much weight on Rondo.
LeBron is at plus 1,800, which why would he ever do that?
Let me put it this way. That's way too generous
And
of
also
odds.
just an influx of Brazilian players. Anderson Varejão at plus 2,500. Leandro Barbosa at 25.
Leandro Barbosa.
And Nene at plus 2,500. I don't know why these Brazilian guys are here.
I would not want a piece of Nene.
Yeah,
man.
Nene, of course.
For those who don't remember Nene Hilario, like, that dude was a brick.
And he got scarier as he got older.
Yes, Nene, I would not want to take a punch from. I mean, frankly, I don't want to take a punch from anybody you named, but Nene sounds like a really rough go. It'd be very interesting to see if any of those guys do it. My guess is none of them actually will. I believe we're going to be off next week. A little bit of conflicts going on in a lot of Laker games, so we will probably not be back until December rolls around, but appreciate everyone being here tonight. Thanks again to Rob Mahoney. Thanks again to Mike Trudell. Thanks, as always,